Greetings, my beautiful family and friends of IP Resilience. And today will be an absolutely special segment. So I want to really encourage you to stay to the end because the guest that we have is going to completely share the story that we have never heard on my podcast, on my show ever again, with this fundamental, essential story that we need to hear and be ignited. Because in front of me, I have Chanit Roston, and she is a healer. She's a best-selling author. She's an amazing artist, and we're going to talk about that later too. And she is a Holocaust survivor who knows everything and anything about life. Hi, Chanit. How are you today?
I am very well, Ilona. Thank you very much.
You're calling us from New York, so tell us about a little bit about New York, how you feel about it, so the weather.
Well, I love New York. Ever since I was a young girl and I was reading about New York, I said, oh, one day I'm going to live right there in the middle. And that's exactly where I am calling you from, in the middle of New York City, Manhattan.
I know there's a lot of people from our countries there, so I'm sure you don't feel alone. There's lots of ethnics, lots of, nationalities, lots of people from, where we are from.
I am 2 blocks away from Grand Central Station.
Unbelievable. And before we go to your incredible mind, incredible talents that you do, and I wish, and I know that I will be posting more of your pictures, what you do. It's not just paintings, it's the art. It's a real professional way you were doing it. And when you were sharing with me what you do, I was I drop my jaw and I'm like, I cannot believe that that's what you do. I think the world needs to see what you do. And especially like a woman who came and went through such hurdles and adversities in life, who are still pursuing the life and still see the life as an essence, as a gift, as a hope, as a light, as a bright thing. It's amazing. So could you please walk us through the Holocaust? How did you escape that moment? Because for us, we hear about it. I've been to the two museums, one in Washington, another one in New York, and actually I was in actually Jerusalem in Israel. So, and it's just mind blowing when we see or hear about Holocaust, and you went through that. Can you please tell us, how old were you and what went through your mind with your head and how the life had, unveiled from there?
Okay. Well, I was young. I was very young. To begin with, I didn't realize what was going on because I knew that I like to play, and I was stuck in a potato cellar where we were hiding in a potato cellar, my grandfather, my grandmother, my mother, and myself. And so that's when my story basically begins. I was not suffering in the potato cellar because I had an amazing grandfather. And my grandfather was the most loving person. He was a cavalry general in the era before he was a grandfather. And I have a painting I did of him. I don't want to take the time to look for you to look. I have a painting of him on the horse. Amazing painting. I did it from a photograph that was smuggled out. Anyway, he he and my grandmother, I was loved. So I didn't know how other people are. However, I missed going outside. I couldn't go out. I was in this dark place, cold, usually very cold. That's why I'm still cold every time. And so I wasn't suffering as such, except that I knew that I had to be very quiet because if anybody hears me, they're going to be dead. So I became aware of what it means to be dead when I was very little, when children are not really meant to be told about what it means to die. So that was basically not a suffering, but it was a condition, a very unusual condition. I became aware that what happened when I wanted was my grandparents were eventually sent to Auschwitz, and how it happened was my mother had a toothache. I never told this to anybody, Ilona. My mother had a toothache. This is the story. We were in this potato cellar, and my mother had a tremendous toothache, and she went out. She said, I have to go out. So she wrapped herself up in all kinds of shawls and had to go to the dentist. But she was afraid somebody will recognize her. And if they recognize her, they would know where she would be hiding. The potato cellar was in a brother-in-law of my mother's. One of her sisters got married a Catholic man, and he was in his potato cellar. We were hiding, so she was afraid people will recognize her. And when she came back, she said to him, look, I am afraid that they will find that somebody recognized me and they will report us, because people were really mean. They reported every Jew was reported. They wanted to get rid of people. The anti-Semitism was unbelievable. So he said, she said, and let's take the grandparents too. He said, the grandparents were asleep at that point. He said, I'll take care of the grandparents to move them to another place as soon as possible. But she said, I can't take the chances. So she wrapped me up. I was about 3.5 years old. And she wrapped me up and ran into the forest, my mother. She said to me to be very quiet. She walked into the forest because she knew her way. And she had some friends who were partisans. So she was going to find a hiding place for me alone. And she found a forest ranger who had 4 children, or maybe 5 children of his own. And they figured that nobody will know that there is another child and it's not his own child. So that's where I was hiding with these forest rangers, very kind people. And they had, I believe it was 4 children of their own. And some were small, so I was well taken care of. However, my mother injured her leg. She was with the partisans. She was a fighter, my mother, real fighter. So she was doing all sorts of missions of partisanic nature, blowing up the Nazi bridges and doing all kinds of damage. And one night she got stuck in something that you trap, in a trap of an animal. Where they were trying to trap an animal. She didn't see it, so she got stuck, and she didn't want to call her comrades because the Nazis can come and get her. So instead of that, she waited until the morning, until they found her. They were looking for her comrades, her partisans, and when they found her, her leg was really badly hurt. And she suffered with that the rest of her life. So that was her. My mother was an incredible woman. I want you to see the painting I did of her.
Seen this picture in your book?
Yes, it's in my book, but it's not
unbelievable. Wow, it looks so real. Unbelievable.
I painted it, and my husband, when he was alive, he died 6 years ago. When my mother saw that I painted her ironing, can you see that she's ironing?
Yes, she's ironing. Yes.
He said, why did you paint her ironing? And I said, well, that's what she wanted. She said, I have a lot of work to do. I have no time to just keep talking to you and you paint me. And that's what she wanted. So that's how I painted her while she was ironing. And
Unbelievable.
she used to call ironing straightening things out
I
because that's
like
what,
it.
yeah, me too. She used to call it I'm straightening things out. They are
My
wrinkles.
gosh.
She was wrinkling all the problems in her life. And I
I
learned
like
that.
this analogy. This is so powerful.
I learned that from her. My mother raised me all by herself because my father was uh, murdered before I was 2 years old. My
Wow.
birthday is in March, and he was killed at the middle of December. So I didn't even make 2 years old that knowing him. And she became a widow early, so she raised me. And if it hadn't been for my mother, I don't think I could have made it. She was a real heroine.
Our parents make such a difference in our lives, and I know some people don't have this blessing. Sometimes they think that they don't have a right parents, and they wish they were now never born or never know them. But I think this, regardless of how the life, teaches us, they are still are from God. They're still, the creation from God. And the only thing that God wants us to do is just to respect that fact that they are our parents. He doesn't say love them or like be crazy about them, but he said that honor your father and honor your
Amen.
mother. It's not easy, and that's where the strength and special encouragement from him comes through. But it takes a special person sometimes to see the qualities in our loved ones, in our parents, and for you to recognize that if it wasn't for your mom, because you saw everything that she represented in your life and for your life.